Tabitha, and this is the first video in a series that I want to start on my channel called Theater Careers. The things I'm really passionate about is making people aware of how many jobs actually exist in the performing arts. But of course, I'm starting with theater teachers because that's what I am, and that's the job that this channel mostly focuses on. And today I'm going to be interviewing Samantha, who is a middle school theater teacher in New York City. And without further ado, let's get started and take a look at her interview.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm just going to ask you a few questions about what you do and how you became a theater teacher. The first question is not really a question. If you could just explain what your job is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a middle school theater teacher in Queens, in New York City. I teach grades 6 through 8. I have about 15 classes. So in a normal year, that would be around 400 students. I see them about twice a week each week, and we really just dive into theater work. They're all beginners, which I love. I was able to create the program at my school and implement it. So it's really unique and something that I was able to kind of just run with every day. And I love it. I feel so lucky to do it.
That's like the dream, creating your own program and everything. And if you could just walk us through, how did you get to where you are now?
Sure. So I am a performer. Like many of us, we grow up, performing and loving theater and loving the arts. But I knew that the performance track wasn't really for me. And I started teaching theater. I got this opportunity actually at a theater in New York called the Helen Hayes Youth Theater to teach really little babies, to teach them theater. And we would do a show. And that was when I was in middle school, actually. I started doing a little bit of teaching here and there. And I fell in love with it. I loved seeing that light bulb go off when the little, 6-year-olds in front of me were hearing themselves sing and understanding what it was like to transform into a character for the first time. And I never stopped teaching theater. So I did that throughout high school. And then I went to Emerson College for educational theater, which is in Boston. And I got amazing experiences there, which led me to graduate school at NYU, where we met, where I studied educational theater. And through NYU, I was hired by the New York City Department of Education at my school in Queens to start teaching theater, literally a couple weeks after we graduated. So it was a great, end of one thing, start of another.
Did you know you wanted to be a theater teacher? Like that's what you wanted your job to be?
I was in high school and I was performing and teaching theater at the same time. So I would perform in a lot of community theaters and audition around, as well as I was teaching theater on the side. And I just had this one class where we were doing, I think it was Into the Woods. We were doing Into the Woods. And I loved seeing these kids start so shy and unsure of themselves and kind of come out a couple of weeks later with this newfound confidence and pride in the work that they were doing. And I remember I went home and I said to my parents, I was like, there's so many BFA programs out there that would be incredible and that I would love, but how many educational programs are there for theater? And I really dove into the schools that were providing that. And I just thought to myself, how lucky would I get to be if I get to walk into a classroom every day and teach theater? Because it's not just about the classroom, right? It's about kind of what you take with you and confidence and risk taking and communication and public speaking. And I think it shaped me into the person I am today. So why not, get to do that for countless other kids?
How has the pandemic affected your job?
Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, I think every teacher right now really should be wearing a cape every single day. Because what we're doing is a lot and it's a big responsibility. And I think with theater specifically, we're kind of put in this position of the kids love our classes, right? And they come to our classes and they're excited to be there and they're excited to get up on their feet and run around and play, but we have to stay distant. And we have to wear masks. And I think a lot of kids are really intimidated coming into the classroom with these new protocols. So my school, we are doing a blended learning model. So we have like 2 cohorts and they're there every other couple of days and they switch on and off. I have to say my school is doing a really beautiful job at having this routine for the kids and having them really be on this good schedule. And when I get to see them, I'm doing every single thing I can to get them up on their feet, and working with each other in, a totally safe and distant way. But it's just about finding some normalcy within their day. And I think that the theater classroom allows them to have that, right? Because we're exploring and we're playing and we're talking and we're communicating. And that social aspect was missing last year when we all went full remote. So I think, part of my job is just the social emotional learning and getting them back to a place where they feel confident to talk to each other, because we lost some of that, especially at a middle school age. It's so important.
And do you have any message or words of encouragement to other current theater teachers?
Just keep plugging away. I mean, I know that it's exhausting and it's a change and it's, such a disruption of our normal routine. Like teaching theater through a screen is so hard because our norm is being in the room together, right? Being in the room where it happened. Well, Hamilton reference, but so, true with our careers and with theater, it's just about being together. But, I've learned that there's a lot of different ways that you can be together through a Zoom screen or a Google Meet screen, or, through a little chat room with your students on Google Classroom. Like, as long as we are showing up and we're giving these kids a space to be brave and to explore and find their voice, like that is all that we can do. And we just have to keep showing up for them because they need it and they want it. They want it so badly to be there and to explore. And we just have to, provide that time for them, and we got to just do it and get through it together. We have a community and we should continue to build upon that community and share ideas to have this be the best year it can be.
And my last question is, what is your message to people who want to be theater teachers?
Do it. I think it's very funny because when I tell people that I'm a theater teacher, they're like, oh, like you don't teach like math or science or social studies or ELA. And I'm like, very specifically, no, I'm a theater teacher. And they're like, oh, so it's not like that important. And I'm sure you've heard that said once or twice, like, people who don't necessarily understand what goes into being a theater teacher. And I think for me, it's recognizing that I think we're the most important class. And I think that we need more time dedicated to the arts and to theater, because not only are we teaching them academic skills that they can use inside and outside of the classroom, but we are teaching them life skills daily. And I think that this is just like the most rewarding job that I could ever have. I truly leave every day with at least 20 funny stories and at least 10 different things that made me smile. And it's an important job. Like they need a space to feel and create and experience. And a theater teacher gets to give that to them. You get to kind of be not only a teacher, but a mentor and a friend, and just kind of a sounding board to understand what they're going through and to explore that in the classroom.
I had this moment where I was like, with my fourth graders, we were like putting on little skits, and I had like one kid on one side of the classroom and they were like far apart, but they were performing. And I was like, when you really think about it now, like most of the theater happening is in classrooms like this because we aren't having like actual shows. So like this is actually really special that I can even experience this right now and that my kids are watching something right now live.
And just like, again, just being together in this way, right? Like we were doing storytelling today. We were doing storytelling through the use of tableaus, right? And they just had so much fun, like 6 feet apart, like getting up and doing, these creative stories that they had written. And a lot of them talked about the pandemic, and they had written stories with the beginning, middle, and end through Tableau, like what they'd gone through. And it was incredible. Like they had so much fun, and it was so meaningful to see them just in the room, in the space, like putting it together and making it happen. And even though it's distant and kind of weird, it's still really special and can be memorable in its own way.
Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you, Samantha, for being the first interview in Theater Careers. And next up, we will have an interview with Jeffrey Miller, who is a high school theater teacher in Virginia. So keep your eye open for that one. But that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.